Maple PhD, and I was putting together a video highlighting my favorite Kickstarter, and when I looked through my list of Kickstarters, I thought it might be fun to do a top 10 list of them. I've probably, like you, have backed one or two Kickstarter games in my life, and so I'm looking at all of the ones that I've backed and picking my favorites. Now, these are only games that I backed on Kickstarter. I have several Kickstarter games that I bought after the fact, but I am not including those in this list. So let's see what those are, starting with number 10. Number 10 is the Isle of Cats. This is a game where players are rescuing cats from an island before some big baddie comes and destroys it. The fun thing about this is that you have a ship that you are placing these cats in, and of course, like cats, they take up weird and bizarre shapes. So it is a polyomino game. And you are, trying to fill up your ship with as many cats as you can, trying to connect different colors, fill up different rooms, and just have this crazy, crazy cat-filled ship. I like trying to figure out how to spend my fish in this game, which is the currency. Do I spend them all on the cards that you're drafting at the beginning of the round, or do I wait and save enough to rescue all of the cats, but maybe I won't have enough baskets if I haven't spent enough on my cards? And so there's a lot of different fun decisions to make in this game. The art is amazing. So that's my number 10, Isle of Cats. My number 9 is Factory Funner. This is, I think, the second printing, or maybe the third of this game, which is a game where each player has a factory floor, and they are drafting different machines that they're going to place in their factory that are powered by goo. So once you've placed a machine, you need to route the right colors of goo into your machines, and then collect the goo that's coming out, and maybe that goo can power a different machine until you get an output product. And it's just kind of a bizarre, fun game where it is frustrating every time because you draft a machine and it's not quite right. It's not the one that you thought. The blue input is on the wrong side of the red output. But it is always fun and a fun challenge, and we just lives up to his name, Factory Funner. So that's my number 9. My number 8 is Mini Golf Designer. This is a game where each player is designing their own mini golf course. And you are doing a 9-course hole in front of yourself. You have a card that shows a land shape that you are trying to fill, and then you are drafting tiles between you and the other players that have the putting greens, they have the holes, and then they have all of the fun things that come with a mini golf game. So ramps and loop-de-loops and little water features. And you have to balance how hard you're making the different holes because you're trying to hit an overall par for the course. You're also trying to lay it out so that the end of one hole is right next to the tee for the next hole. Well, keeping it within your landmass and not making a mistake, because maybe you put in a ramp that's going the wrong way and you'll get points taken off for that. So this one is just a lot of fun. It's another one of the puzzle games, which is a theme. I love putting together puzzles and trying to figure out the best way to lay something out. So that's number 8, Mini Golf Designer. My number 7 is Imagineers. This is a game where you are building a roller coaster and putting out attractions in a theme park. Now, it uses a Mancala mechanism where you pick up all of the pieces that are waiting in line at one attraction, and you start laying them down one by one at subsequent attractions. And if the color of the one that you place down at an attraction matches the color of the meeple in the attraction match, then that rider will enjoy that ride and you get some benefit from it. Otherwise, they just ignore the ride and wait to be picked up again by the next player. So this one has my favorite theme, which is theme parks. I like the Mancala mechanism there. I like that you are, deciding where to place the attractions, and they come in the 3 different colors that the meeples come in. So do I play it so that I can get an immediate benefit this time when I pick up, a set of meeples, or do I kind of play a longer game and try and set myself up for later? And then of course you also have your own roller coaster that you're building up, so you could build that up instead, but only the red meeples will ride that, and how many times are you going to activate it? So there are a lot of fun decisions to make in this game. It's cute. I like the art. The rules could use a little bit of work. I had a few questions in a few places, but otherwise I really enjoy Imagineers. That's my number 7. My number 6 is The Great Dinosaur Rush. This is a game where players are taking on roles of paleontologists during the time when paleontologists were fighting with each other and destroying each other's sites, all in the goal of getting the biggest and best dinosaurs and the biggest and best fossils to show off to the world. In this game, you are going out to dig sites and collecting bones. And then you construct your dinosaur. You use those bones, which are just little wooden pieces, little wooden sticks, but you use those to construct dinosaurs. And to me, this is the most fun part of the game. You have a few constraints where you have to have a head and 2 arms and 2 legs and a spine and a tail. And the different colors represent the different parts of the dinosaur. But you're also trying to meet some goals that you might have in your hand, and also some universal goals of size or weirdness. And we always make the most bizarre, fun creations. There is always a lot of laughter when we reveal our dinosaurs before we start scoring them. And so for that reason, The Great Dinosaur Rush is my number 6. My number 5 is Seize the Bean. This is a newer one, and I haven't gotten quite as many plays of it, but every play has been super fun, and I am so looking forward to exploring more of what's in the box. So this is a game where you are running your own coffee shop, and you get basically 2 actions each round, which is never enough. And the actions you can do are collecting ingredients so that you can make orders and satisfy your customers, or upgrading your cafe so that when you take your actions, they're even more powerful. And so there's this constant balance of, getting those ingredients so that you can satisfy your customers, but also trying to beef up your actions so that you don't waste those actions. And then you have these customers that you're trying to satisfy, and they all have special abilities. And where this game it really sings to me is that it came with, I can't remember how many decks of customers, and you mix 6 of them together. And so you can always get a different game. There's a set of gamers, there are cyclists, there are families, there are tourists, as I recall. And so each one brings slightly different abilities to the game, and there's just a lot to explore in the box. So for that reason, Seize the Bean is my number 5. So my number 4 is Habitats. Habitats is a game where players are drafting tiles and playing them into a reserve in front of themselves, hoping to make the various animals that they have placed in their reserve happy. You do that by placing different land types next to that animal. And there's this constant thinkiness that as you're drafting your different animals, can I make this one happy? Or if I'm not going to make this happy, is it really going to help me with another animal? And maybe that doesn't matter. And so, throughout the game, you're building up this reserve and you're making some of your animals happy. You're really hoping to get the right tiles to make that hippopotamus satisfied, but maybe you're not quite going to get there, or you accidentally place the wrong tile on one side of it in an effort to make a different animal happy, and then you've just blown it, which of course is frustrating, but in a fun way. That's why for me, Habitats is my number 4. Number 3 is Pret-a-Porter. This is a game where you are a fashion designer developing a line of clothing that you are going to show at fashion shows throughout the year. It is a fairly heavy game. It's a worker placement game where you are placing workers out on a board, but you first place the workers and you don't take the actions. Then you go through the board in a specific order and do the actions in those orders, in that order. And what this does is it means that you have to decide how important an action is to you to be able to do it first. And so you're probably going to be able to get all of the actions you want, depending on your player count, but you might not get your first choice of, say, the different retail outlets or the different assistants who are going to help you out. Maybe that's okay. Maybe you don't care which one you get. You just want to get one this round. So it feels a little different than the traditional worker placement, which I really enjoy. I love that the theme is not your traditional theme. I'm not super into fashion, but I do so this one resonated with me. And for that reason, Pret-a-Porter is my number 3. My number 2 is the Grand Carnival. The Grand Carnival is a tile placement game where you're doing 2 levels of tile placement. The first level, you have to build up your grounds so that you have places to build attractions and places where your patrons can walk around your grounds. And then you can play attractions on top of those spaces. And as you're doing this, you have to be very careful to make sure that you leave enough green space in order for your patrons to land next to one of your attractions and put a ticket on it. Because if you get to the end of the game and there's no ticket on an attraction, you get 0 points. And so I have messed up a few times where I've tucked an attraction behind and forgotten to get a patron up there. But that makes for a fun challenge to me, trying to work out which of the foundation tiles work best for the available attractions, but also allow me to move around my patrons and get as many tickets as I possibly can, and maybe move them on out to the big top where you get some additional points for those patrons. So for that reason, my number 2 is the Grand Carnival. And my number 1 is Sleeping Gods. This was my number 1 game for 2021. It is something that has hit the table so many times last year, in a year that I think we can all agree was very difficult for pretty much the entire world. It is a game where you are playing a group of sailors who have been plopped in the middle of an unknown sea, and you are in search of different totems in order to wake the sleeping gods who might just return you home. And every time you set out on a new adventure, you have different possibilities for stories. And even if you visit the same location a second time, you can make a different decision and perhaps get a different totem or a different result. And so it makes the game eminently replayable, and it's all about the story, which is why I love this game. So for that reason, Sleeping Gods is my number 1 Kickstarter. What's your favorite Kickstarter? What have you gotten and backed that you just loved? Or maybe on GameFound, it doesn't have to be Kickstarter. I'd love to hear about your favorites in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll be back again with another video. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications so you know when new videos come out. We'll see you soon.